A bad intro though, the mix.
Yeah, no, yeah. Oh, it was like backloaded for me as far as like the ones I was interested in, like all towards the end.
My people,
what the
people? My name is Justin Woodward, co-founder
He's
of
here
Black Voice
again.
in Gaming, The Mix, and the nonprofit Experience.
And he's a game now.
It's a scorching, sizzling summer, and we're kicking the door, waving the fofo with our annual Black Voice in Gaming Summer Showcase for 2026. Our mission is simple. We help support and celebrate developers through grants, network connections, publishers, investors, platforms, and of course, the community of you guys and the culture. This BVIG, we are proud to showcase trailers, interviews, and gameplay sessions with some dope developers. Before we get started, we want to thank our sponsors, Raw Fury, Aurora Broadcasting, No Rivals, The Mix, and our broadcasting partners, Summer Game Fest. Thank you guys for supporting us. IGN, Twitch, GameSpot, and Steam. Yes, Steam. Please.
I do wish he'd gotten a better mic for this, though.
Games you see in the show through the
I do wish he'd gotten a better mic for this, though.
We are coming up on our third year with the XP Fund, where we help fund grants through an accelerator program that will get these games made. If you're interested in supporting these games through charity, please follow the QR code on the screen when it pops up. And if you're interested in investment opportunities, please hit us up as well. Without further delay, I'm gonna pass the mic to Lori and Curtis Baxter to get into the first game.
Thanks, Justin. My name is Curtis, and I am joined
Curtis.
by my incredible host, a fantastic content creator by the name of...
Hi, my name is Lori, and
Hi, Lori.
I'm so excited to be here today with you, Curtis, for all of the trailers, all of the announcements.
I know, I think it's going to be
65 games in the last
I
one.
don't know about you, but I want to get right into it.
I was
You down with
cutting
that?
that too.
Yes, let's do it.
All right.
Going back to putting my asterisk.
Hey, my name's Graham.
Yeah.
I'm a game developer, and this is my cozy island builder, Auerlands.
Auerlands?
It's a game focused on creativity. No pressure, no rules to follow, just pure vibes. It's up to you to create whatever kind of island you want to make, whether it's a lush forest campsite or a vast deserted island. Auerlands has dozens of things for you to decorate your islands with, and once you take a break from building, even more things are waiting to be found. Just poke around. There are a ton of delightful surprises for you to experience. Now, once you think you're done, show off your hard work by making postcards and sharing them with your friends, because good things should always be shared. Day or night, rain or shine, come and craft your little slice of paradise right here in Auerlands.
It's such a departure from what he made last, which was like a really intense.
A princess, once beautiful beyond wonders of the flesh, now crawled the earth as her demonic mass pulsated.
Super Space Club was his last game. Bathory, Heritage of Blood. Yo.
What the fuck? Hell yeah, dude.
This is from Munana, who made Keylocker. We have interviews with this developer on our site from Bit Summit from our VGG Japan team.
This looks dope as hell. You baby?
She's like, what? What do you want me to do? 2027. Now that looks sick. I don't think I'd seen that anywhere yet.
Moncala.
Moncala?
Is this roguelike Moncala? Oh, where, bro?
I get it, Vinny. Wait, I'm so fucking in?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Who playing Moncala, bro?
Oh, fuck yeah, dude. Yeah, it seems like you can like both marbles and the pit, the like holes themselves, you can have different effects. Give me a demo for this right now. Yes.
That's what's up. Alchemic beasts. Regurgitate? Hell no. This Pokemon?
But then you have a health bar. That's kind of fun.
You can
So
kick the shit out of some animal?
you get beat up. And it's giving like it's cool too because it looks like you can like it's doing what some of those like fan pages do for Pokemon where you fuse them together, you know?
Would you guys believe this is a hot Cheeto?
The naked. Nice.
The Pinkertons for Nintendo are accurate, bro.
Intriguing. Intriguing.
Hi everyone, I'm Thiago Prudente from Mandinga Games. We are indie game developers from Salvador, Bahia, Northeast Brazil, and I'm the lead developer of Black Sailors, Bay of All Saints. I'm here to tell you a bit about the game we're building and why this story matters so much to us. Black Sailor is an adventure RPG with tactical turn-based combat. It's a story during the colonization of Brazil back in the 19th century, about a group of enslaved Africans who refused to accept their fate. So they rebelled, seized control of a slave ship, and became pirates, fighting back against the Portuguese colonial oppression in the Bay of All Saints.
Might be all in on this.
It's a decolonial game. That means we are shifting the lenses here. We are so used to seeing history and games told from the perspective of the conqueror or the explorer, but in Black Sailors we flip that logic. We take the power out of the hands of the colonizer and put it in the hands of the enslaved and oppressed. One of the things that drive us is how history is taught. Even in Brazil, our education is often very Eurocentric. We were taught at school that our country was formed by Portuguese, indigenous people, and Africans, as if African was just one big homogeneous block, but that was not the case. The African diaspora was formed by several different ethnicities: Yoruba, Bantu, Fon, and many others. Each had their own unique culture, cosmology, and customs. Some were even rival back in Africa, but they were forced.
I really like the
colonizers actually
the style of the movement and everything in the turn-based ship battle.
It's important to understand that Black Sailors is built entirely from an Afro.
Oh, and then you can like some people can rest. Some you like tell each crew member what to do in that moment.
Over centuries, we lost the
and it changes like probably how far you can go and shit. That's cool.
We are creating an alternative story, exploring what it would look like if this Afro-Brazilian identity was forged in the fire of a pirate rebellion. We didn't want to just make generic African rebel characters. That's why we are collaborating with a historian, specialists in African diaspora in colonial Bahia. We have researched these specific ethnicities to create characters with real, distinct motivations. So in the crew, you will not just find generic Africans. There is a Daomé warrior, a blacksmith from Oyo, a hunter from Ife. You also find people with very different motivations. Some of them just want to go back to Africa. Others want to build a full-scale rebellion and dominate the bay. And some have lost everything and are driven just by revenge. These clashing motivations create a dynamic conflict between them that evolve as you play. When the game begins, They have just taken control of the ship. They don't know each other yet, but they quickly realize they will have to overcome their differences if they want to survive. Your role as the player is to manage this crew and assign them to specific functions on the ship. So, if you want the ship to move faster, you need to put more people on the ship. If you want the ship to shoot
Kind of
faster,
like active
you need to put
things
more
on the
people
ship.
on the guns.
Or if you have
This is
someone
how
there,
you
it's better.
plan your evolution. It's a turn-based strategy experience divided into 2 phases. First, the planning phase, where you manage your crew,
That's cool,
analyze
man.
enemy movements, track enemy bullets, and decide your strategy. Then comes the resolution phase, where you watch your decisions play out in real time. As your adventure continues, you upgrade your ship and crew and rescue more people who join your cause. We just announced
so
Black
in,
Sails
dude.
to the world, and the reaction was intense. We saw a lot of backlash from
What?
people who treated the simple act of portraying enslaved people with
Jesus
agency
Christ, dude.
as some kind of agenda. But the supporters
Yep.
has
That's
been
so
even louder.
fucked.
We realized that there is a massive audience
Is
of
that a Mexican dude?
players who are hungry for stories that step outside the Eurocentric power fantasy. Black Sailors is for everyone who wants to see history through a different lenses, a lens of resistance, humanity, and freedom. Thanks for listening, and I can't wait for you all to sail the Bay of All Saints with us.
That's sick.
Netcode Warriors.
Okay. Where's Epoch? Epoch, wake up! Mecca!
Epoch saying their 16th cup of coffee right now.
This looks sick. Netcode Warriors.
Is that Fireman from Mega Man?
All right. Well, that was an incredible trailer for Netcode Warriors. I am joined by my co-host, Derek Fields, and right now we also happen to have the CEO and game director of Sun Studios, Shay Goon.
That was a little early.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Glad to be here. How's everybody doing?
Doing well. Doing well. No, happy to be checking out this game. So, I mean, right off the bat, this is like some incredible combat, some incredible art direction. These are totally new characters, right? Totally new IP. Can you kind of walk us through the entire development process?
Can you explain everything you
we've
do?
been working on Netcode Warriors
That's a lot.
since 2020, so it's been a hot minute. The earliest days were a lot of ideation kind of phase. Like, what does this IP mean? Like, what is it about? Like, kind of figuring out some of the story and lore aspects, and kind of honing in like how we were going to reference our inspirations and things like that. Once we were able to kind of communicate with Watanabe-san and Moriyama-san, so those are the guys from Japan who actually worked on the Digimon IP. Kenji's like one of the original kind of creators and designers of the Digimon IP. Once we were able to kind of talk with those guys and get more of a hone in on the art style, I think that kind of like we were off to the races at that point. We also had other very talented designers. Ivan Fiorelli, famously, I think has done like some stuff for Fantastic Four comic. I think he was the penciler for Fantastic Four for a couple of years. Mitch Lucas has a pretty famous webtoon that's in development called Project Divider. So a lot of very talented artists kind of help shape the artistic vision of the game. My inspirations for art generally are always going to be based on my background. So I'm Nigerian. So for instance, the main character is Yoruba. I'm Yoruba, so the Yoruba tribe. That was important to me, but also bringing in some of the things from my childhood that really stood out to me artistically and stylistically. So very Shibuya punk and grind fiction inspired. You have a lot of like kind of streetwear and street culture kind of aspects that are kind of baked into some of the art and especially the human characters, but then the transformations into these like larger than life like warriors. We call them code warriors. It's very Sentai inspired, very Power Rangers inspired. So those are like bringing in a lot of like aspects of things I grew up with, like Mega Man Battle Network and other franchises like that really shaped the vision of like the IP and everything like that. But
yeah, rock on. I mean, it's easy to see for me coming from like a similar background in terms of influences and the types of media that I was growing up with. Those influences, like, they breathe all throughout Netcode Warriors. There's something that you nudged on that I would love to hear more about. One of my favorite topics is talking about cultural intersection and how these different inspirations can come together to breathe new life. You're directly interfacing with Japanese developers and artists within this project, and so can you expand a little bit more about what it's like to work truly as a globalized studio?
That's so sick with the OG Digimon crew.
The whole studio is remote. I've always said, like, I don't really care where you come from. I just care that you got heart and talent, right? That's it.
Bro.
I don't even care too much like how much experience you have, because I think it's very easy to fall into that trap when you're hiring somebody of that whole thing like, oh well, I need experience to get a job. How can I get a job if I don't have experience, right? So for me,
did you hear about that where Unreal Engine 6 just got announced and a
They wanted 5 years experience in the engine?
Collaborate in certain aspects and certain avenues. In regards to the globalization of everything, people from all over the world, from Spain, from Indonesia, animation team, the riggers, animators from Brazil, and so like the team is kind of worldwide. Kind of by necessity, just because we want the best people that we can bring onto the project. In regards to working with the Japanese guys specifically, definitely language barrier was, kind of hard to overcome. You're like translating emails back and forth, trying to make sure that you're not saying anything that they can be perceived as like offensive and incorrect. Like you want to make sure you're culturally sensitive to whoever you're speaking to and kind of the background, especially some of these guys who are very well known in the industry for the kind of work they've done. It was very important for us to always approach those conversations with respect. And
I didn't even see Freak could get back in here.
People who we're talking with, that they're
through the window,
artistically being fulfilled by the work we're asking them to do.
She's so warm.
I'd say that's kind of our general approach to how we do stuff.
So, I mean, in game development, we all know it's not easy, especially when you're running a team, and especially when you have a globalized team.
I can't imagine that.
The challenges.
Indie working with a team that's literally all across the globe. Probably like going to bed being like, please get these things done. Waking up being like, did it get done?
I'm still growing, learning every day. Part of it is just trying to be as flexible as you can with time zones. Time zones can be a big thing. Right. Sometimes I just don't get a lot of sleep, because I'm like talking with people in Spain who are 4 hours ahead, or Japan who are 12, 14 hours ahead or whatever. Right. So like sometimes it's me being up at 3 a.m. but needing to be up at 8 a.m. to do something. Right. So that the reality is like sometimes it's a grind. It's really hard. It's difficult. It's mentally taxing. I'm sure my girlfriend would love to see me more. But at times life demands that
passion
to achieve greatness. You must do great things, right? That's I hold myself to a very high standard in regards to how I do work and how I operate and everything like that. And I can't expect everybody to put in 100% if I'm not putting in 100%, right? 110%, whatever I have to give, I give, because these projects
these grapes are sour.
That we're working on as a studio, they're very important to me. I'm very passionate about them.
Bro's making wine in his mouth right now.
Studios is poised to be like one of the next premier like fighting game developers. Based out of the
Johnny.
West, right? If we do things correctly, and if we
I like that little hand.
Precise and
that's a good wave
with how we do things, and that we put our
welcome on in. We are currently watching Black Voices in Gaming. Just finished up the Mix Summer Showcase.
You said projects, and I love that because there's a little more that we'll see from you later in the showcase. But for now, to put
projects,
the spotlight on Netcode
maybe
Warriors,
another game
as
coming.
a fighting game, this means that we're entering into
Sassy
the fighting game community and entering into
welcome in gamers. Like I just said, we are currently watching Black Voices in Gaming. Just finished the Mixed Summer Game Showcase, and we will be watching the State of Play later on.
As just a fighting game couch player, Dead or Alive was my game of choice, and I'm no longer good at any of them. But they bring some nuance, and so what sort of nuance, emergent outcomes do you hope comes from Netcode Warriors and in terms of how people play and engage with this game?
Yeah. So Netcode Warriors, right? Obviously, there's the stylistic kind of things that we're referencing, but in regards to the gameplay itself, I think that's actually where it shines or where it's special.
It is on Thursday, but we're going to be watching it on Friday
Arena Fighter
as part of our
which,
official
there's a lot
kickoff
them
of the
out there,
weekend.
Usually based on licensed IP.
So if you want to watch it with us, it'll be on Friday.
But those games are usually designed for
one of the first things Friday too,
they're
actually.
Designed to be competitively deep. It's more about getting to experience your favorite characters and play them in a way that's easy for you to do and easy for you to switch from character to character and just do really cool stuff and kind of put it down and like I had a good time or whatever. And that's not really the design goal here. The design goal here is for you to put hundreds, thousands of hours into like the game is like constantly revealing itself to you. And in that kind of design space, arena fighters haven't really had competitive spotlight before. I mean, there's one or two here or there, but they all kind of make compromises to kind of
I'm always arena fighters called to me more than like the
kind of
you know
at things in sort of a different
Yeah.
direction. Obviously, we're trying to incorporate some things like motion inputs are pretty big for us, quarter circles and things like that should just exist more usually in traditional fighting games that tend to not exist in arena fighters. We're putting those in, charge motions and other things like that. But the idea of what an arena fighter is or what it can be is a real expression of freedom of movement in a three-dimensional space that 2D fighters just generally aren't really can't do in the same way, I'd say. And so even the 3D fighters that you're familiar with, like Dead or Alive or Tekken or Virtual Fighter, because jumping usually and crouching share an input, jumping, crouching, then stepping to the side share an input that limits how quickly you can move in and out of the foreground. And it's mostly about moving forward and backwards quickly with like intervals of that. That's why like there's like high level techniques about stepping into out the foreground. Netcode Warrior kind of approaches it more like there's a real freedom of movement, and the skill and depth is how the decisions you're making based on that movement. You can move wherever you want, but are you moving in the right place at the right time? You can move quickly, but are you quickly adjusting to what your opponent is doing?
Are you making the
So that's
smart
kind of
moves,
the
brother?
design space that we're in regards to what Netcode Warriors is and what it can be.
I love that. We spoke a little bit earlier just about this being again a new IP that
The X-Men shirt,
Let's say
MWA.
we're, fast forward, game is out, it's doing
It's
amazing as I'm sure it will. Fandoms love to interact with their favorite characters. Do the Sun Studios have any kind of aspirations to take those characters and develop them for other forms of media? And like, what does that success look like for you?
Yeah, this is something I've thought about loosely. I haven't put too much thought into it, to be honest. But from what I've thought about, I do think like a companion manga makes a lot of sense. Like a one-shot manga, I think would be really, really succinct with the art style and the inspirations and everything like that. Would make a ton of sense. I think animation, like a short film, could also do wonders. I think also there's various opportunities because the designs are so wild and so like dynamic, and there's obviously licensing opportunities, like clothing, merchandise could be cool. The human characters have these very tech wear kind of inspired outfits, so something that kind of leads into that I think could be interesting as well. But yeah, mostly like manga, animation, novelization. I mean, those are all like valid avenues that one could pursue, or one that we thought about to some degree, but haven't put too much thought into because we're just really focused on.
I got to build the game first.
Good story first. Something I want to make sure is that I don't want people to feel like, oh, like I didn't get this, like I have to go do homework elsewhere to understand like the game I just played, like or the story mode I just played, or to understand the characters that I was interacting with. If that makes sense. Like we want like a full story experience, right? Like in Netcode Warriors. So
really quick before I let you get in, Derek, I want to know. All right, are you keeping the story under wraps, or can you speak a little bit to the story a little bit right here? Because I'm a story guy.
yeah, I can talk about the story a little bit, but essentially, these people, right, humans from all around the world. So that's another thing is that
The Battle Network. Yeah, this is probably where the Battle Network
cast is
stuff comes in, because it's like
diverse intentionally, right? They're from literally every character's from somewhere else on Earth, right?
I don't think he's
main
actually in a
character's
robot
Nigeria,
suit.
we got
Maybe,
somebody
I don't
from
know.
the
We'll
Scandinavian
see.
region, some Japanese, some Taiwanese, so like American, like they're all from different walks of life from different parts of the world. They all one day by happenstance get like sucked into this alternate world called the network, right?
What?
And the network is essentially this living, sort of breathing world. Like when sometimes in
Jackie and
lore
Zoe.
and fantasy, you talk about like Gaia, Earth as like a living, breathing thing. In this alternate dimension, that world is like alive, basically, and it's overseen by an entity called the Sovereign. And essentially,
I didn't realize that.
Are kind of inverted in this
Orland's
dimension
Shadow Drop.
where
It's out.
Energy is an infinite thing, but physical matter is like more limited than it is here. The humans kind of quickly realize that like, oh, if we could funnel this energy to Earth, then we would have potentially unlimited energy, and shenanigans ensue. That's basically the kind of surface level gist of the story.
Love it.
Love a good story, and I'm glad that you expand on that a little bit. It relates in a lot of what I was thinking about. There was a nugget that you mentioned about the story, about a lot to do with the game's identity and the expectation of players committing an amount of time to it so that they don't feel like that they have to do homework outside of the game to drive a connection with it. Games now are emerging in a space where let me rephrase and say, all media is emerging into a space where they are competing with each other. So whether you're a game or a cartoon or a movie, the attention space is like a continuously crowded economy. And so, looking to keep your players in this environment in hopes that they will dedicate that time and expand upon the story. It sounds like a huge undertaking, one that it commands, standing out with some of these other arena fighters that you were pointing to. What do you think about that? Emerging into a saturated space, emerging into a space where, the goal of keeping players attuned to the game is going to be really important. Are there other elements that are going along with the story to keep people coming back for more?
Yeah, I think the big thing, like the competitive kind of drive. The game needs to be deep.
Epoch,
right?
this game they're doing the interview for is a big old mecha game. You should look into it. It's called Netcode Warriors.
Like at this point, with most fighting games, like you need to show your player base.
Oh my god, the horror game awards are going on right now too.
Into it outside of just the initial release.
Too many games.
You can expect like some kind of downloadable content, whether it's more characters and things like that down the line, which are all things, conversations we're having and plans we're making. I obviously can't speak to anything definitively like that at this time, but all conversations we're having about how to make sure that Netcode Warriors is it's not just a game, it's an intellectual property, right? That can extend past just the game itself, right?
Yeah.
Like whether we get to make like a Netcode Warriors 2 or 3 or whatever, right? Like we've already had conversations about some of the story elements that would play into Netcode Warriors 2 if we got to make that, and we have some very interesting kind of, fighting games are very hard to market. You need to show players that there's something, either you usually need IP or something unique or something they're familiar with, something to grab them or bring them in. So one thing is obviously like character designers who've worked at Marvel and worked in, Bandai and Digimon. Like that was like one pull. Another pull that I can't go into too much detail about, but I can basically explain is that we got some pretty prominent content creators in the fighting game community to agree to give to let us use their likenesses actually as characters in the game, as playable characters in the game. So that's
Ludwig in the game,
something I'm super excited about, because I
It's
think
gonna be like
it really creates
Maximilian?
this, like, fandom kind of
Maximilian,
between
dude.
the game and those content creators and their communities, right?
Hungry Box.
That I think will really
Germa?
accent kind of that IP in an interesting way.
Jorma is a
Helen there?
mecha suit
For
guy.
folks watching, you are both the CEO of Sun Studios and also the game director. So you're actually covering multiple projects at a time.
Yeah.
Talk to us about what does your typical day look like when we're talking about literally being part of crafting the business, which is the game, games in your case, but then also having to operate also on the kind of business side of things.
Yeah. So, we're currently fully self-funded. So I do have a day job that I have, that I do as well. That
Jesus.
allows
How do
us
you-
to,
how do you-
myself and my other
what?
co-owners we all have day jobs that we use that allows to fund the studio.
I guess that's why I was like, when he was like, but I
this
have to
amount of
be
my
up
day
at like
obviously is
8
going
for
to
something.
that, and most of my Sun Studios related work is outside of that work day, generally speaking. I mentioned earlier I don't get a lot of sleep. I wasn't hyperbolizing. That's just like generally how things are right now. I'm
good,
the
brother.
game director on both this and our other fighting game project Saturday and Battle Manga. So I'm the game director on both of those projects at the same time, and so that does demand a lot of my attention because a lot of people, need information about what to do, when to do it, and kind of, making sure we hit our deadlines, our marketing kind of goals, and everything like that. So those are kind of different kind of facets that play into
indie
how my
devs just
schedule lines up.
don't
but
be
I don't have a specific here's what
always
I do
be
at
grinding.
8 a.m. and here's what I do, and because
Always
sometimes
be grinding.
things are the way they are.
Yeah. If you're creative, if you're a game director, we know that some of those regimented moments kind of feel like locking ourselves into a box. Jesse, it's been a pleasure to learn more about Netcode Warriors and understand what you and Sun Studios are doing for not only this, but the other projects that have been alluded to during this conversation. With the limited time that we've had, I've already learned so much, but is there anything that we maybe didn't get a chance to cover that you would like players to know about before we wrap up?
Yeah, I think, for us specifically, marketing has been a thing that we would like to do more of, right? I think we're planning on setting up, by the time this goes out, we probably should have like a Discord server people can join to kind of have community and talk with each other about the game and the characters that have been revealed and have more speculation about the story and different things like that. We want to, kind of announce some of the voice actors that we kind of had conversations with and cast for some of the roles and as well. So yeah, the game's kind of ramping up and the development's kind of ramping up in a very interesting way. I obviously cannot give a definitive release date for the game at this time, but the plan is to release it next year at some point. That I can say that now.
Yeah.
Next year, that's the plan.
Rock on.
Next year.
Well, this has
At
been
some point.
Terrific just chatting with you, getting to know a little bit more about you, about Sun Studios, and about Netcode Warriors.
I appreciate this conversation a lot, guys. It was a lot of fun.
Heck yeah. Appreciate you. If you like what we're doing, then scan the QR code and consider supporting the XP Fund, which helps provide grants to underrepresented indie developers to help move their projects across the next stage of development. Now, let's get back to some more trailers.
Rogue Eclipse. I played this. It's hard as hell. It's a tough game, dude. I was struggling through it, and the dev kept being like, "Keep going, keep trying," and said like not many people had made it as far as I had, but still it was.
Pay attention, adversary.
Ooh, scramble star crossing.
This time will be different.
Ooh.
Does Bubble Bobble sideways?
Yeah. Whoa.
Oh my god.
Kind of like Match 3, but like way more complex.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. I love a tournament. Oh! Oh!
Oh my god.
Yes!
Yeah. We knew about this one.
Strange Scaffold's latest, where you're the truck that isekais things and you're hitting everything in the world you can to help a warrior in a fantasy world train. Such a great concept. So everything you hit gets sent into the fantasy world, which is constantly playing on the bottom of the screen. July 29th. Well, here's the other one from them.
It's time for a new hero.
Okay, coming soon. Like a month away. Bro, this studio got some great artists.
And great music.
Yeah.
Hello and welcome back. I am joined by my lovely co-host Lori.
Hello.
And also here we have combat designer and also my former colleague, Stephen O. How are you?
I'm good. How are y'all?
Hanging in there. Weird time, but you know.
Sure. But it's good to see you again, you know?
Yeah, it's been a while. So let's just jump right in and get started.
Steam Next Fest will be a demo for Raccoon as well.
Your path to becoming a combat designer.
Yeah, so my path as coming to a combat designer, it's like I had very humble beginnings. I started off in Albany, New York. That's where I grew up. And my brother is a lot older than me, and he would introduce me to a bunch of comic books and action movies like the Five Deadly Venoms, Kid with the Golden Arms, and one of my favorites, Bruce Leroy and the Last Dragon. And I just wanted to become these kind of characters. So I would start like taking gymnastics and doing kung fu and things like that, just to be the character. And when I translated that energy into like making games, I like realized that not just being a game designer, I could also be a person that creates these sort of action figures or adversaries or even the heroes to allow people to feel like that person I was trying to capture and become myself, So went to school for it. I went to school at Rochester Institute of Technology. I didn't know anything about programming really before that. I took like one class in high school, and RIT was just
they teach in high school
starting to
now?
have a games program. And
That's
I wanted to make sure that I can get
Isn't
into
that
the program
fucked,
and start talking.
Back in
like,
my day, we
IT,
still had computer class learning how to type.
And I lined all my classes to be like a good game designer and have them transfer over because I didn't have a whole lot of money to like stay there extra years. And then along the way, I met a lot of people that had been working in games and had an internship where they realized there's a specific role for a combat designer, a person who makes the enemies or a person who works on the hero and their interactions. So that was like my first foray into getting into realizing the role of a combat designer.
Oh yeah.
That is really cool. So you said that you took like martial arts classes to that. So what was what was the process of like taking that experience from that and then like applying it to combat design?
Yeah, so like I grew up in like
weird
my body and understanding punches and kicks, right?
I just was like trying to like get a sense of where we are compared to the live.
Read your opponent.
There was a full ass trailer.
And as I gotten older, I was like, okay, well,
that's in the IGN stream of this that
and somehow
is not in this.
You learn this kind of dialogue with
like a full like gameplay like discussion about
that I like really
a game that's just not here.
It's like that movie quote from The Matrix: you don't know somebody until you fight them. Or you can really learn them as you fight them. Like you start to anticipate their movements, you make moves that you're trying to train them to do certain things, right? And that's great in real life, but you can't do that all the time. So I started playing fighting games, and back in the day, PlayStation came with a demo of Tekken, and it had the same movements that I had like learned when I was growing up. So I started doing like amateur competitive Tekken matches all the way up until college. And in doing that, I learned like frame data and different things too. So it's a little bit of like learning how my body moved, understanding the mechanics of making a good punch, then being able to read that mechanic in the horror games of how the characters were throwing punches and the frame data and the speed that it happens. that allowed me to take all that
Getting a bunch
knowledge
of
and
emails right now.
translate
I'm
it
like, I don't even know what that
into,
is.
These are how we're going to make these characters readable. This is how we're going to make this style feel good. And then there's this meta style to it as well. Of like, okay, well, this is for a person who wants to be a rushdown character or a zoner. This is for the people that like grappling. And you just kind of have your expression. And then as you play your friends, you kind of know their behavior and you're like, okay, he knows that I'm going to do this and I know that he's going to do this. So that's how I counter it. You know? So a little bit of that.
That's super dope. This is a really good natural segue into this next question. You talked a little bit about it being kind of a dialogue and kind of learning how somebody fought. Like, I'm interested to know, what is your approach? Like, let's just say it's a clean slate. This character's never been done before. What is your approach to coming up with this initial combat design for characters?
Yeah, you really want to come up with like, what's the core fantasy of this character? What is his background? What is their background? Why are they trying to express themselves through violence, right? Like, how are they going to communicate? So somebody who might grow up in an adversarial environment,
I want a game now where it's like, yeah, you're communicating through your fight moves.
Like the world is so
you have to like chain them together to make a sentence.
Aggressive to get stability. So the first thing I just try to do is like, what is the character's fantasy, and then build that kind of backstory that fits with them. And then I look at gameplay moments that are going to support that. Like I just mentioned, if the person has to be hyper aggressive, and I'm like, okay, maybe their stance is always going to be slightly forward, and they're going to be a more aggressive pose, and they're going to have more dominating moves that like either armored or armored.
I can turn it up on my end, video, if you need.
A hit, or if I'm going to make somebody who grew up in a little bit more naive or more playful, maybe they're going to be more standoffish back, or like they kind of think that even in the heat of battle, it's like a game, or like it's silly to them. It's like fun. They're going to be more
I'm on it.
Fluid in sort of their movements and playful in their actions. So you can have like two different fantasies that have these different play styles that can even go with it. So love that.
I love that. Yeah. And another thing too is that you spoke about dialogue. How does combat design relate to other elements of the game, such as narrative?
Yeah, I often think that like in a fight, you're going to have this natural back and forth of like taking turns.
Wait a second, is he in a city landscape?
They're responding to it, right?
Look at his headphones. What the heck?
Action and response that comes from just the moveset alone. But you can tell a dialogue through, or a story really, through the environment. How did it change over time? You don't always have to show damage on an actual character. You can show how things are breaking in the environment. You can show how this person's getting a little bit more desperate during the fight, how there is a reversal or double down. Basically, like you think they're winning, and then they do something and now you're losing, you're on the back foot. So that's just the choreography of the fight, how it can turn into dialogue. But there's also like maybe they learned a new ability, maybe something that's unlocked from them, from a core memory.
That's something I missed from fighting games.
How does this?
I remember from like Budokai and stuff.
Unlockable mechanic.
Where like they would put you in scenarios where it's like Goku's stronger than these guys, but you only have 1 bar of health.
It's not always good,
and you have to kill them. Like it's like a setting where like he got beat up and now he's weakened, and you now have to fight back with only 1 bar of health against like multiple enemies or something. A fun like blending of the narrative and the gameplay there.
Absolutely.
Favorite question. I have another question for you. Are there any types of styles of combat you've really yet to see in a game, and how would you kind of approach that? First of all, what are they, and then also like how would you kind of approach that and want to like bring that into the game?
Oh well, I feel like I've seen a lot of different martial arts, a lot of different styles in games, and I kind of specialize more so in melee combat. There's a lot of different ways to approach combat with like magical abilities or gunplay and different things. So I don't know if I can really speak to a style I haven't seen at all, because like even like capoeira, we're starting to see a bigger resurgence in that, but we haven't seen a whole lot of like African martial arts. I don't think there's like as popular or is as documented in the world of like these different styles of African martial arts. And if I could speak to how to do it, I don't think I would give that away right away. I think that would be something I think that would be like, hey, I'm gonna do this game that has some African styles. But one might go with this approach where we're thought of life had started in Africa. What if the original African martial art is what
That's cool.
It brings in all these other different styles. Like basically the style that you know, whether it be Muay Thai, Taekwondo, or Taido or something like that, evolved from that style, that original martial arts style and that expressive style. So, you know, how could you make this a like interesting origin style that like encompasses the different things? So it's like, oh, you thought you knew this, but like I invented it and I actually didn't share with you all the pieces. You just have like a fragment of everything I know.
You only know
Just like you didn't share
a smidge of my power.
Right now with us. I get it. All right.
That's a freebie. Like you can try to do that. Go ahead and try. The other idea. Yeah. Talk after the call. You know. I got you.
So I kind of wanted to go back to when you were talking about your like taking martial arts and whatnot. What was your favorite like martial arts, I guess, inspired piece of media, like as in like a film or a video game that like really inspired, you know, you as a combat designer?
Oh yeah, there's several. I mean, even to this day, like I love John Wick movies. I love all these other new action films that are coming out. The earliest ones for me would have to be like Kid with the Golden Arms or Five Deadly Venoms. Five Deadly Venoms is sort of like your Avengers before they were Avengers, right? Like you have these 5 different styles that had these like tropes and things with them, but you start to get the super abilities, the centipede really fast, the snake agile, the toad invulnerable, right? And how do they play together? So that was influential about like, how do you come up with different techniques that speak to the theme of the character you're making, and then how can they be opposed to each other even if they've like learned from the same school. But the other one that was super influential to me, and I feel like it spawned like Dragon Ball Z in a way, is got to be The Last Dragon, right? Like it's a cult classic. Maybe it's not the absolute best movie on the planet, right? But there's so many things about the character progression. Like you're already a master, but it's inside, or you know, you need to break through these own limitations that you have. And the glow is totally going Super Saiyan, and that's like a designer.
I need to look into that.
I put in a lot of characters that I worked on.
A lot of old martial arts movie could be a lot of the origin of DBZ.
Super Saiyan, right? So those are a couple. I mean, there's so many more. The raid for me, On Bak. I train Muay Thai to this day because of On Bak and things like that. So yeah.
Oh, the raid is intense. It's anxiety. It's sad.
Yeah.
So good. Speaking of just the titles you worked on, you've worked extensively in a lot of different games. Would you mind telling an audience a little bit more about some of those games that you've had the luxury of working on?
Yeah, absolutely. So I started making games I've been making games for over 10 years now.
I'm trying to see if
a bunch of little
would you fully just not have one of those trailers? That's so weird.
To Fat Princess Adventures. But I think my big break was actually working on
Princess.
God of War 2018.
Fat Princess mentioned.
I joined the team at a part of the projects where I had a lot of influence over the encounters, and they really liked what I did, so they brought me back to be working on the grunts, or like more basic units. So first I worked on how, with this new camera, how we're going to have these fights be readable and digestible and feel good. And then I worked on how do we make these creatures fit into this world a little better, and mini bosses and bosses. So I worked on Ragnarok and then the DLC Valhalla, where I combined both my encounters knowledge and my character creature making knowledge. And then I wanted to take all the things that I learned by hanging out with Kratos and some of the fantastic people at Sony Santa Monica to work on Black Panther. And that's where we got to hang out a little bit. And I learned so much on that team, but sadly, you know, we can't really talk about it or show it or do anything about that. So now I'm just helping other studios with their projects and big projects that
intriguing. Intriguing to hear that, you know, it's been worked on. It's out there. We were just talking about that the other day.
Along the way. So,
do you have any favorite combat moments among the games you've contributed to?
Oh yeah, there's so many. Let me try to pick one. This is a huge moment for me on God of War 2018. I'm responsible for a lot of deaths in the basically Draugr pit. So that's where the bridge breaks and Atreus falls down, and then Kratos jumps in to jump down and there are 3 heavy joggers that spawn in that fight, and that massacre a lot of people. So, you know, in playtest data, we see a heavy drop off of like people struggling with that part. But once you get past that, you're prepared for the rest of the game. Like once you're able to overcome
just got an email about something coming up in this.
All the tools that you need to beat.
I'm hyped for me.
So even though it is a frustrating moment for a lot of people, I think it did help a lot of people learn to play the actual game instead of relying on like first tier tactics, like early tactics. The other moment on 2018 that I really enjoy is actually right in front of the stonemason fight. There's 3 different superpower joggers that come out, and you think that this is kind of the fight. These 3 units on their own can make an interesting encounter. But actually, we bring back an old trope from the previous God of War games where we spawn a large creature. It used to be a Cyclops. For us, it was a ogre. And then we spawn another ogre. So right when you think like you fought this one challenging fight to like now there's an ogre and then there's like 2 ogres. How am I ever gonna do this? But it's set up in such a way that the pacing of the encounter empowers
True,
you
bro.
to get over
God of War
it. So you're,
2018
at first you should feel the
Chef's
threat
kiss.
of it. But as you overcome that fight, you're like, oh yeah, I am awesome. I am the God of War. I totally like can handle it.
I am the God of War.
So those 2 moments, like frustrating moment that turns into like now you have the skills to beat the game, and then I was scared, but it's actually a totally doable fight.
I love those moments in games. That's awesome.
Absolutely. Since we're still on that subject, how do you balance that? Because as you know, we've worked on a project together, and sometimes fine-tuning and balancing encounters and combat can
It's
prove
nuts
be a
to think
challenge
about,
in and
you
of
know,
itself.
something
So,
that you
what's
play
your
for
approach
like
to just making sure
a
things just
moment
feel
is
good?
like
Yeah,
fine-tuned
So my
over
approach is, like, making
years
things
by
feel
a
good.
team.
That was someone's
First, just,
project for
I always
months.
tune or start fighting an encounter with the most basic things. Like I always just use basic attacks, and if I'm making a creature or a boss or an encounter, I should be able to defeat it with just pressing the simple attack button, blocking and dodging, and take 0 damage. That lets me know that the animations are readable, the pacing is correct. Maybe there's if I do get hit, then like, okay, I need to like time out, or I need to put a piece of health or something that you can like recharge yourself into the fight. And then the other parts is just like thinking about the fairness and the fatigue that you might have.
What's the correct for Sassy? Is it to be able to beat something with basic? I think that is a great approach to game dev, because yeah, there's you shouldn't have to have like the best tool set, best move set. You should be able to just like beat it with the basics, you know, and then the tool set is just like a benefit and it makes it faster or whatever, you know, but
that could be really taxing for somebody. So how do I make the character interesting enough in those 4 minutes that somebody's not overstimulated or fatigued by doing all the actions that they have to do? So it's super high level. I'd love to go into more detail about it, but like that's kind of where I start.
No, I appreciate that. No, good.
Yeah.
Sure.
I think something that I'm really curious about too, like when you're doing the balancing,
trying to
like, what
recognize
is
that
your,
heart
I guess,
she has there.
the priority you think about in terms of
It's got something,
combat?
you know,
'Cause I
like-
always think about like when I'm
It's
playing
like a
a game.
circle design on it.
Do you think more about
so
like
familiar.
offensive, I guess, or like more of like the defensive or like magical parts, or like I don't know if that makes sense, but like what do you try and prioritize, I guess, when you are starting, like when you're planning that out for combat?
So, it's you know, we were saying dialogue before, but it's really about the dance. Like even if you go back to those movies that I was talking about, they're not really fighting. They're kind of like doing this sequence of dance moves, you know. So they're your dance partner. So how do you make this person interesting? It's not just
Come on,
about
let's dance.
If the players
Let's
just
dance.
defending,
Remember
it's
that
not
was the
necessarily good.
trend.
I'm just kind of waiting for
The Emma
my
Stone
turn
with
and
the
then I parry,
Oscars.
and then I just beat them up. Or
The Oscars.
So, what other action verbs can we get? I need to dodge out of the way. Sometimes I need to parry.
Yeah.
Is this my opportunity to take my turn back? Can I do this risky thing sometimes? If I do the risky thing sometimes and I win, great. But sometimes I do the risky thing and I get punished. And I was like, I shouldn't have been able to do that. And that needs to be clear. So my priorities start off with, how do we make this dance interesting? Both the player and the combatant have verbs where they can go back and forth with each other. How do I make it readable is the second part. Now that we have those verbs, you need to defend at this time. I need to signal to you that this is the move that you need to get out of the way of. And then this is the move that you need to block, or this is the move that you need to interrupt, right? And then the third part is like, well, how much damage or like how many tries do you get at those attempts? If the player is getting hit once and the game is over, that can be really stressful. But maybe some attacks are more punishing than others. So now that's that signature kind of, sometimes we call it like the signature kill move. Where I
hate
to
it.
Watch out for that because it's just gonna level.
That nothing more stressful than knowing one of those big moves is coming in and you gotta
that was the one interesting thing that I had to remember.
Scoot.
Maybe I have a signature move too that I want to land. I need to be able to cleave him, but which way is he gonna dodge? Is he gonna left or right? And I feel really good when I pick the right correction, the right side.
Love that.
Steven, it is always a pleasure to kind of hear you dive into the nitty gritty of combat design. I've heard it several times, and every single time I feel like I leave learning something new. So thank you so much for joining us. Where can people find you on the internet?
Yeah, you can find me on my LinkedIn, Stephen Owa with GBA, and I'm happy to help you craft battles that everybody can win. And it's always great meeting you guys. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, this is awesome.
Shout out to that's a true professional. It's like, bro, hit me up on LinkedIn.
To remind you of the XP.
Find me on LinkedIn, brother.
Can help get the next great indie game off the ground. Consider supporting by scanning the QR code.
Granny used to tell me all manner of stories.
Oh yeah.
And how I'm used to start the countryside.
It's like called like Duppy
and the golden table share take time.
What'd you call me?
But the
telling you,
tree-foot
it's
horse
real.
and him not afraid of moonlight. But old hig who are gallivant all night without skin. But a crocodile man and how you know for answer me if him nap 3 times. She even tell me about the lad diabless with her 1 cow hoof and wide brim hats. How about how Sly Mongoose teeth out one of the man righteous chicken then? Hey, those were good times, you know?
Yeah, Duppy.
Good times.
Duppy Detective.
Ooh, June 20th, very soon.
Wow, we're just...
I've been waiting to take a deep dive into the abyss, but I missed my chance to advance and enhance considerably makeshift. Zero heroes to red scar tissue abrasive.
Yeah, this is really fun.
Tennis fencing, hence the location. Given that I've been living different morals, plural grievances, and legion, relieving numerals to the oracle. Sometimes it sounds horrible. Formulaic, my behavior here to sell a moon consumed dendrites. Not ever living aneurysm combusted. Another term turns families into nothing. For greater good, I can understood. I gotta remain afloat. No lane left stain. Is it insane how I name my quotes? I speak into
a really dynamic Survivor game, you know.
Couldn't occupy the sky without permission. As long as the spell cast, my nature ain't your value. Have you driven, living nexus. Authority to the normally, formerly known, shown everything. Except for the weapons kept swept under anything. You get it?
Also June 2026.
My name's Xavier B. Johnson, and this is Diesel Nights.
Ooh. Mech movement shooter.
Movement.
Titanfall vibes?
It literally is. The vault running and everything.
Go hands. Is it like a 1v1 thing? That's kind of cool.
It's like Straftat, but next.
Hi, I'm Indigo Doyle, creative director at Pushing Vertices, located in Toronto, Canada, where we're making Roller Girl, a slice of life adventure about Naomi,
This is basically
a 16-year-old
Lake
girl in the 2000s, vibing with
in
her
the
rollerblade
2000s.
and MP3 player.
Where
This
are you?
game is
No,
a
yeah,
love
we
letter
played
to my
this.
childhood, rollerblading through the quiet streets of my hometown with my own personal soundtrack loaded up. Okay, I'm gonna tell you a secret.
Wow, Vidi.
I love rollerblading and music. And that's why we spent a long
That
time
was a sick
preparing
iPod.
the
Did you the
movement
custom
in the
shell on
game
that
to
thing?
make
Yeah.
it feel smooth and purposeful. And when it comes to music, I always have a soundtrack for how I'm feeling.
Yeah,
In
it,
Roller Girl,
when you
the
play
music is
the
linked to the
different
mood of the
music,
game.
it changes the whole
Changing
energy of the
playlist
town.
changes
So
your
sad
perception of the
music.
world. From happy
It's like real life.
to sad. The mood influences other characters' responses to you and your dialogue options. Key story moments also impact the mood. We are curating a soundtrack inspired by 2000s pop punk by connecting with local indie bands. So far, we're featuring artists Narima and King Fabs. There's something about the way it feels to
It's so
effortlessly
cool.
glide down a smooth street. Your favorite music.
It's already
playing
on
in
my
your
wish
earbuds,
list.
and for a
Lake is
moment,
the
it's like time
mail.
stops,
It's set
and
in
you're just in a flow
Oregon.
state.
It's a
That's what Roller Girl
mail
represents.
delivery game.
Your wheels
And that's
on,
honestly what it
music
is.
up, and the freedom
Just go
to
around a
move.
small town and
The freedom
deliver
to
the mail.
explore and learn about yourself as you go. You start the game having just gotten your first car, which breaks down immediately. Desperate for cash to fix it, you lace up your rollerblades and grab your MP3 player. You do odd jobs around town, stumble into a romance, and uncover a
Soupy!
juicy town mystery.
We love Soupy.
It's
I don't know
Soupy.
about you, but I used to spend a lot of time in my head. Back in the day, I would rollerblade around my hometown, inventing backstories for my neighbors. There's a certain charm to small towns.
Me and Julie
I can't wait for you to
bring
poke
up
around
Soupy
and find the little stories
a lot
hidden
ever since we saw
behind
this game.
fences and around corners. Thanks for taking this tour with me, and thank you to the Black Voices in Gaming Showcase. I can't wait to see you find your vibe in Roller Girl.
It was cool to see that not only they did mocap for the rollerblading, but they there was a shot she was like holding a mic too to get the actual
the audio of the
yeah. Yeah.
They should. I mean, they didn't need that. You could just hire us to do like the Foley sounds.
Yeah.
the rollerblades.
Yeah, you do that professionally, right? Like you do it live for like rollerblading content. It's you. Soupy! I didn't know there was a ghost. Soupy.
We are back with Black Voice in Game. You see how that we just like push right into it. I am here with Lizette and Marcus Montgomery, Cornerstone Studios, and they are working on your first game as a studio, which is Carrier Cuties. It has like a really
Carrier
interesting
Cuties.
premise to it for sure. But I want to know how you guys started Cornerstone Studios, because it's like you guys are like super vets.
Carrier
Even I'm
Cuties
like,
is a 3D
just the stuff that
arena
you guys
fighting
have
game where
done
pets and mechs.
puts me in awe. So can you guys talk about how you started the studio and a little bit about your backgrounds?
Yeah, we're not new to this. We've been doing this for almost 3 decades. Some of us have been doing it for 3 decades. So we've worked in console, AAA, small studios, and we were kind of at a point in our careers where we were trying to figure out what was next. We've worked with the biggest titles and the biggest IPs in the world, so we thought the next step for us was making our own IP and starting our own studio.
That's super awesome. And kind of what led you to, you guys know I'm a big fighting game fan. It's like my favorite genre. I play every fighting game. How did you kind of come up with this style of game and kind of want to make a fighting game for your first title?
A lot of this comes back inherently. I come from that arcade area. That arcade era where fighting games was really prevalent. I like that Twitch, fast responsive sort of gameplay.
Twitch?
A lot of the games I've worked on prior have had that. And so this
Twitch?
kind of just falls into that pocket. To really get into what inspired this, I think, Lisette, maybe we should talk about our grandson a bit.
Yeah, we were we've got a grandson, he's 6. And we, one of the things we love to do is like break out old consoles and old games and just have fun with him and relive the nostalgia of, us playing as a child with our grandson.
That's what I'm doing
and
right
we
now.
broke out the Dreamcast and put in Power Stone, and we were just having a blast.
Fish just be
Particularly
researching
my grandson was,
GameCubes right now.
amazing time. And we were like, what happened to this game and
Not just
why hasn't
GameCubes.
it come back? And everyone we talk to has like such
Game
a
But we did recently
Years?
get a GameCube.
Oh, I remember that game.
Yeah.
They get this like the total like twinkly
Yeah, look
eye.
inside, bro.
Look
I
to it.
stole
And I'm
it,
like, so
dude.
what
It's
happened?
not
And
even
I was
in
like, well,
there.
maybe if we bring this back with like a
Why is
fresh
it sitting
IP,
out of the box?
and make it, like,
It's not even
update
in
the
there.
mechanics and bring it into an area where
I was
co-play
testing it
and,
earlier.
like,
It's in here.
team-based mechanics are sort of like pushed a little bit further.
That's what Nate got.
And so that's how kind of got the ball rolling. Was just a fun playtime with our grandson.
That's amazing. And you have you were mentioning this earlier. You have a collection of like a vast collection of games.
Been collecting games for a very, very long time. We've between the different eras, we even go back to the Atari, but the Dreamcast, PlayStation 1, Saturn games.
Saturn. That's awesome.
My first job in the industry was at
I
Sega.
shucked your GameCube,
So,
bro.
Yes, so I have a huge affinity for Sega and their.
Then why is it still region locked?
The
Please.
litany of games they have.
You should have made it region free.
No. Raspberry Pi with region lock.
For a while, so our collection is pretty big.
So,
It also doesn't help that you have like an encyclopedic knowledge of game design. So that also
Really,
helps.
I may need to hit you up about that. Not for my own, resources and whatnot. No, that's really cool. So, if you're looking at your library of games and your grandson, was a little bit frustrated
so
at
cute.
some of the games that he's playing,
Inspired
what made
by
you decide
hanging out with your
to
grandkid?
pick this one? Like from, you know what I mean? You're just like, do you remember this particular Power Stone? And you're just like,
with kids, you expose them to a lot of different things. You never know what's going to stick, and so we're always, since he comes over and plays with us, there's certain things he likes and certain things he wants to play just because he's familiar with them. But we also want to expose him to new things, and the Dreamcast is one of those things, and Power Stone is one of the many things that we tried. But that was one of the first things that he really attached, and he would ask about it. And it was a lot of it also is because I have the old arcade stick as well. So
you had the arcade stick?
Oh, yeah. And he saw the stick, and he was like, "What's that?" And I was like, "Come, son, let me show you
that must
what this is."
Oh, they're about to play, bro. He has the controller in his hand right now.
Exactly,
Yeah, that's great.
and we really love the
Turned
fact
into,
that we
like,
found
just
something
a
we can connect
Let's
with
play.
him.
Yeah.
And we find that to be a very unique experience, and we want to make sure that how can we replicate that not just for us but for other people as well. There's a lot of
That's his
nostalgia
emotional
around this
support
games,
controller.
and people of
He
our
keeps
age
it
may
with him.
want to be able to share it with the kids that they have, and we think that we have a unique way to kind of bridge that intergenerational play.
That's cool. So rolling into this, Lizette, like how did you come up with this particular game? And then can you talk about the premise of it, because it's extremely interesting.
I think all good games that kind of hit the zeitgeist often reflect like the conversation we're currently having, and the conversation we are all currently having is AI. So
Speaking of,
Like a 90s rap song.
So I was like,
Lost another one.
And there's assumptions that we all come
Scorsese
to, which
joins
is like,
an
we're all gonna
AI.
eventually be killed by robots. So let's just play out to the worst
Don't even speak to
scenario
me,
what that
bro.
may look like and make it absurd and stupid. So I started thinking about what a post-AI world would look like, and I'm like, well, our pets are still here, so of course
Man,
they'd be the ones who would take over.
Scorsese of all fucking people.
What would that
man.
look like, and what would they do with their free time? And then you start doing these really silly like world and logic.
It's these old ass
exercises,
boomers
and
who are
then we
like,
ended up
I don't like doing that anymore.
kind of how we ended up here.
I've been doing it for 70 years.
Carrier Cuties takes place
So
in the
let
future,
the robots
where
do it.
AI does what AI is going to do, and eventually humans are extinct. And our pets essentially become sentient and take over the world we've left behind. And they build battle bots in the shape of their former owners to battle
that's
out
cute.
their primitive instincts. And that's sort of the premise behind
Oh
this.
my
So
god,
they died.
Evan, that is
so
real.
their owners straight up were
Horrendous.
gone.
What?
And then they're
Dude, I
just,
found
like,
out today my
remembering
uncle used
their
ChatGPT to
humans.
plan my grandma's
The pets
funeral.
didn't kill him. AI
Oh my god.
That
'Cause
is
I'm like, this is so
horrendous.
sad.
AI killed.
Like AI killed them.
Yeah.
AI's
Better
gonna do what
news.
they're gonna do.
Yeah.
You can remove.
So let's jump into it. We're gonna
part of the
play,
game.
and then I think it would be really
Can't put it
interesting
back
to
in.
just kind of go over
They are
the
gonna play.
design, the pet design, and then kind of
That's sick though.
your approach to art, you know, and that kind of thing. So
I want to just
I'm gonna
buy
try
that
to
now.
play
Just the top of the
and
GameCube.
talk at the same time.
I will give you some tips as we're playing.
Okay,
You
okay.
know, just press X and Y a lot, and you'll be fine.
Okay, so what's the character?
So
this particular character.
Oh,
This is essentially
wiping his ass.
a-
Why is he scooting?
A boxer and a boxer. So essentially, the boxer pet is piloting his humek, as we call it.
Humek.
Humek.
And essentially, they appear as humans at first. And as
Another
you
one.
sort of unlock super modes, their robot abilities reveal themselves to you.
That's cool. So you guys have pets, dogs?
Yes, we do.
Because the scoop, that's notorious. That's when you're like, when you're like, what the hell are you
It's
doing?
time for a
son?
bath.
Yeah, it's you gotta handle that. You gotta handle that in pleasant ways. But you know, we really want to pull in the humor as much as we can of the characters that we have. You know, and you know, while this is still early, we want to be able to represent the humor and the
This is I miss games like this. This is giving me like what was that one?
So
That was like
very much
famous.
like the classic
Power Gem,
game.
Power Stone,
You've
Power
got
Stone. Is that it?
Power
picks,
Stone, yeah.
you pick up.
Like the like
different
kind of more
objects
just
in
like
the world,
just
pick up
fun.
tables,
Like there's so many of them
throw
are
them at
so
your
many
opponent.
fighting games these days are just like way
There's
too
hazards
serious.
in the world as well.
Like Game
Beat.
Beast.
Stove,
Exactly.
against that wall, you'll also see the barrels knocked out on them. So you can also use the world to your advantage.
So I have like homing gloves.
Yeah, the rocket fists.
So how did I get this power up right here?
So there's power cells, like you just, as you finished, much like the classic game, there's power cells that are
So
that
it is
spawn
it's
across
fully
the map. If you're able to pick up 3, you're able to then transform into what would be eventually your pet mech. That's not represented in this prototype build, but that is something that we will have in the future.
Wait, what does that mean? What do you mean?
So currently, when you get your 3 power stones, you stay in your boxer form, but they are debuting a new character with the new
You hear
build,
that?
where you're actually going to stick with your pet.
They said Power Stones.
So you're going to have more pet-like abilities once you get your super move.
Oh, I got deaded.
You can see the pet mech in our current trailer.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's right. Okay, that's awesome. Which we will debut, or we already have debuted. I mean, you guys debuted it, so
you'll be able to see it.
Yeah.
People who were on site at the mix were able to see the actual maquette that I built for it.
Oh, that was cool. So talk a little bit about like the kind of practical creation of the characters.
Yeah, so one of the things when we were talking about what we wanted to do with the studio, I also wanted to change my process of how I created characters and assets, and try to take advantage of, you know, all this new technology we have with photogrammetry. So, and my
That's cool.
natural
So yeah,
ability to sculpt
they're building these mech like
So I'm
figures
building all the
and then
characters in
scanning them in.
physical clay, scanning them in using photogrammetry,
Like she just said.
apologizing them, and then animating them for combat. And you can also
How do we
see,
get the
like,
mech figures
visual
IRL?
effects. So we're taking
That's what she
advantage
said.
of,
She said at the mix
style
physical.
and uniqueness that
You
we've
can
got
see
from
like
physical
the newest
materials,
one they
and
just
also,
built.
you know, taking advantage
That's
of
always so cool.
all of the
I wanna take it home.
wonderful things that Unreal
I want to put a
5
little dog
allows us
inside.
to kind
I
of
want to put a little
push
dog
the dynamics
inside.
and the style and the interactivity.
What Hubeck would Freaka make?
And, you know, it's a nice mix for
Freaka
me.
would make
where I
me.
get physical
Yeah, but
would
like
make Dev.
but like
use my
what's
hands,
what's
and
like
then I
its
can go
power?
digital and take advantage of the advantages that come with that.
Gas.
Yeah, I was gonna
So
say you just
how does this differ from
fart
when
and
you were at Double Fine? I mean, you've been, like you said,
Double Fine.
close to 3 decades.
3 decades
how
at
does
Double
this
Fine?
differ? I mean, because you wanted to get more
Just in the
hands-on,
industry,
but
they're
you
saying.
were at previous studios. How did you develop art there? Because you were directed and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I started as a character modeler for 12 years and worked my way up until I became like a lead and an art director. So most of my process has always been digital. You know,
It's funny because it is mechs, but it's giving toys too, and that's a fun.
And loose sketches of a character, you get paper and you could get hands-on with some oil and paint. But once it gets into the 3D phase, often you're in a digital space. And
I feel like
so for me, I really
this does look super
wanted
fun.
to
I feel like where this game
design
shines though
games
is like
physically
4-player
first, so
chaos.
that
You
the
know,
toys feel great in your hands.
where everyone's just going
Often
off.
I've worked in games where we create characters and we don't really see them in 3D physical form until we've made a toy. And by then the
Ooh.
design is
That
kind
was
of
fun.
sealed. So I wanted to nail that down.
They did
early
a Dragon
and
Ball
make
Z
sure it's
ass,
something like a
like-
kid wants to pick up and play with.
So you're thinking of like just in general the 360 aspect of how the game will feel, not only as a game, but also if kids want to play it, and then probably animation and like just different mediums. Is that? I guess I'm making assumptions right now.
Yeah, I'm thinking more like the toy element.
Okay,
right? So I've worked on games where we, designed the characters and mostly in digitally, and then when we get to the merch element, the designs fall flat. And there's
Is that
just a huge
Freaka
amount of opportunity and
back on the
affinity that people
desk?
have for their characters, and we want to make sure that the toys and the merch will also reflect that.
That's awesome. Tell
My
tell me
God.
a little bit about the Waffle House, because that's a very iconic
She's asleep,
cultural situation.
Yo,
you know what I'm
Waffle
saying?
House?
What other? You know what I mean? Like what other kind of?
That's what that's where they were
cultural
fighting in was the
references
Waffle
as far
House.
as environments are you guys gonna have? Because no one's really doing that.
Well, we know, and if you think about this world that we've built, we've very much thought about how would these
Stop
pets
scooting.
think? If they're emulating their former masters, they would
Freaka,
fight
learn.
in
Watch
same
the
areas
screen,
that their
Freaka.
former masters fight. So, Waffle House, Black Friday.
Black Friday at
You
the
know.
Wolf Mart or something like that.
Exactly. Exactly.
I
County fair.
The county fair. The swap meet. This is like this is
Freaka's
going
in on this game.
super like you know what I mean?
Pachella. Well, all these
Pachella?
like all these different things, right?
Pachella.
Outside the porta potties, all these where do people fight? At Little League games.
Where do people
Little
fight?
League games.
So, but the thing is, this is kind of an extraction.
Paul Warner?
Exactly, it's an extraction of where.
Did you hear that story
people
about?
fight?
Well, essentially, if AI engulfed all of World Star, where would it tell you to fight?
A Little League coach
fantastic.
ordered his son as the
that is so
pitcher
amazing.
to just throw a
I wanna
ball
see the
into
like,
the
I know you don't
other
have it in here,
team's
but the
dugout full force.
bystanders, For people who don't have the dope, like
Yeah,
That is nuts. He's like,
We're
yeah, just
actually,
full
one
send
of
a
the things
ball
my
right
grandson
into their
was asking
dugout,
for is He
son.
wants us to throw people through the window and then have the people on the
We're
other
gonna
side
get
of the
banned.
throw them back.
Sports
That is so
parents
funny.
are
That's ultimate Waffle House,
ridiculous.
so-
Good
that's
kid
actually
says
going
I'm
Riddy.
getting destroyed.
Yeah. So we're looking into a lot of this is there's so much to be explored, right? And there's so many callbacks and references that we want to pull into the game itself, and we can build into this that we are really excited to kind of chase down.
What other animals are going to be debuted in the game?
Yeah, we've actually done some really great explorations on our character lineup, kind of exploring different fighter styles with just an amazing concept artist named Connie Kang. She, one of her books is called Metamorphia, and she kind of focuses on this really great translation of animals into human. And so we wanted to kind of play on what would a house pet look like, and the likeness between a pet and their owner. And so we're kind of playing around with birds.
Oh, nice.
Furry artist.
Anything you consider a house pet. Turtles, cats, of course, you gotta have a cat and a dog. Rats, we're even looking into
rats.
How to get a rat or a gerbil, maybe.
Gerbils, yeah,
Yeah, your typical house pet.
That's super cool. So what are you how far are you into I know you guys are pretty early on. How far are you into development, and kind of where are you going to go from here?
This is probably 5%, if that, right? We are at the beginning of our journey.
Yeah.
And one of the things that's been really great about this is that this is just even the start of our visual look, right? And there's still a lot of look development to go on. There's still a lot of mechanics to integrate. There's a lot of different things that I want to try and get into the game. I want to try and push this so that the game is very approachable for intergenerational play, so you can play with your kids. But I very much think of this as play with your kids, put your kids to bed, play with your friends, right? And when you're playing
Put the
with your
kids
friends,
to
you want a
bed,
little bit
dude.
more depth. And I want to put a
Get
lot
'em in
more
bed.
Emergent or discoverable mechanics that can be in here. to kind of push the play space a bit. You know, you have games like Power Stone where whenever you get knocked down, you only lose one power cell. I'm thinking, what if we added a little bit more skill into it, where if you throw an object and it's kind of not targeted or automatically thrown at the person, but you're leading the person and you hit them at a particular distance, it might drop 2 power cells as opposed to 1, right? Trying to find ways
high skill scene,
add a little bit more nuanced play so that you can discover new tactics to outplay your opponents.
That's interesting. Like, I remember, you know, I'm a big fan of Power Stone 2. Power Stone 2 felt less of a fighter because the worlds were everything was moving and that kind of thing. But it'd be interesting to see what you guys do with the environments, even extending and that kind of thing. So that's awesome.
One of the best things I think about Power Stone 1 or that sort of thing is we want to make sure that the game is focused on defeating the other team and working together with your partner to make that happen, right? The arena itself is a character, and we want to make sure that the arena kind of shines as well. Being able to kind of expand the play space, think of like being able to knock people through walls, as we talked about earlier, through the window, and then be able to fight in a parking lot, right? So there's a lot of places to take this game and to explore different mechanics and different events.
Yeah, we really want to make sure the environment feels dynamic and that you can throw a character in front of a moving subway train, for example, kind of time a hazard. So we're kind of really looking at making the arena a character all its own, and that it adds a level of randomness that makes every match fun.
Yeah, and the pets aren't going to get hurt.
Of course, that's why they're in the box.
Okay, that's
no animals harmed in this
game.
game.
I mean, you throwing it in front of a subway, you can't.
You can't. You can pet the pet mechs, but they're bots.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So where can we find out more about Carrier Cuties, Cornerstone?
You can find our Steam page, Carrier Cuties, Pets and Mechs, but we also have a site that you can go to. It's really easy. Stone Int Studio. Start page, and you'll be able to look out, find more about our Discord, and be able to join, be able to wish list, and even see more updates that are coming.
And you can follow us on socials at C-Stone Studio.
And if you're in LA, you could go play it.
I was like, you hear me? I like hesitated, like C-Stone
Int Studio, and that's on all platforms.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you guys for coming through and allowing us to play your game. And congrats on everything. I mean, jumping in feet first.
Truly.
To make a game in a studio is not easy.
I was betrayed yesterday, Viddy.
Not for the week.
No, not at all.
I was betrayed because I was hanging out with Oscar.
On to the next segment, too.
Walks into the room.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Los Angeles on his shirt.
Before we go, if you want to help developers get their game across the next stage of development, then scan the QR code and consider supporting the XP Fund.
Ooh. Oh God! There was already another game before that.
This is just fucking.
Yeah, we're going now.
No, please, God.
I remember this one.
Our Jamestown Bob here.
That's Justin's game.
Justin Woodward's?
Yeah.
Let's get fired up.
Oh, this is the first game again. Oh, it's just going through all of them now. I want to look into this one. This one looks so interesting. I love this art style.
What's Scrub and Trouble?
Yeah. one looks interesting too. Super chaotic, top-down action.
Sweet.
Excited for all of them, but like, what was your favorite?
I think my standout would have to be Jay and
Is that
Silent
it?
Bob. I mean, I'm a longtime
Might
Jay
be.
and Silent Bob fan, so just that nostalgia alone was enough to
A
get
few
me
minutes
pumped
to-
up and excited for sure.
Valid.
P3 and stuff.
Real quick, I want to give a big shout out to all of our devs today, Jesse, Steve-O, and the entire Cornerstone team. Be sure to put a lot of those games, most of those games, on your wish list while you can, and we are going to toss it over back to Justin.
Thank you, Curtis and Lori,
he's
for
back.
hosting the show. Great to see you guys, and loved those interviews. Love the devs and all the so good. Thank you all for tuning in, and the developers who are participating in these showcases and in this one in particular. Make sure to follow
It's
the
a good- it's a
developers on
good-
their
it's a good
socials,
effect.
Wishlist buy and play their demos. If you are interested in helping to fund some of those projects that you saw on the show, you could donate to the XP Fund through the QR code on the screen and connect with us if you're interested in additional investment opportunities. We have to give it up to our partners, no rivals, Aurora Broadcasting for being on the ones and twos, Raw Fury for helping to make this thing possible, and our broadcasting partners, Summer Game Fest. Thanks for including us again, Twitch, IGN, GameSpot, and Steam. Make sure to catch all of the other awesome showcases happening this week. There's so many of them. The Latin America Game Showcase, Women-Led Games, Southeast Asia Game Showcase, Frosty Games Fest, Wholesome Direct, Story Rich, Planet Play, India Game Showcase, Day of the Devs, and more. My head's about to pop. Again, I am Justin Woodward.
Shouted out
co-founder
all of them
Black Voice Gaming
besides
and the
Keely's.
Experience Studios platform. See you guys soon, and
The indies are taking over, bro.
Bro, didn't even mention the Horror Game Awards in the showcase right now.
I don't even think they're part of the week. That's why they're not part of the like Summer Game Fest week. The mix. Yeah, I think traditionally we haven't watched that in the in past years, because it does have more of that interview format.
Which one? Oh, that
This
one.
one.
We just watched? Yeah.
Which is really cool. I did like to see. Where's just the, why when I Google that or search that on YouTube, it's not the first. The first result isn't PlayStation.
SEO, baby. PlayStation isn't
they're bad at SEO.
There. Yeah. Oh,
I need to go pee.
Me too.
I'll go first because my bathroom's right there.
And I gotta recaffeinate too.
Yeah, I might grab another. Should we go on a quick BRB?
Let's do it. I mean, we got 20 minutes. Everyone
Yeah.
go stretch your legs, pee, get a snack.
And then after this is our last show of the day, and then we're going to go into picking a game, one game each per show, as our highlight of day 0. And then
3
yeah,
shows today?
yeah, and then everyone be prepared for the rest of the week. Stuff's gonna be happening in the Discord and on the website where we're gonna have our prediction game, and I'll make a form so that everyone else can play the prediction game as well. And yeah, I think we'll do a quick BRB. I'll leave it on the screen, but I'll turn our cameras off here, and yeah, we'll see you in just a second. Go get caffeinated. PlayStation, good. Rumors are this could be a big deal.
No, this is double the length of previous years, so.
And they have
got something.
They're collaborating with Alamo Drafthouse to have this viewed in some theaters across the country. So they're
Putting
hinting
some
at
money
something
into
big into this. So we'll see what happens here from PlayStation. But we'll see you back in just a second. Bye bye.
BRB.